Christopher says, my wife would like to know why there isn't any branding or design on the women's clothing, since that's what she would like to purchase. I had a really interesting debate, conversation, I don't know what to call it, with the ladies in the Creator Warehouse team when we had our merch meeting this week.
My girlfriend was pretty surprised by that too.
I'm sorry?
My girlfriend was pretty surprised by that too.
Okay, so what I said was, I was also surprised because I did not know about our first few women's apparel projects until they literally landed in our office.
Oh.
I was not aware of them at all. And it was not my expectation that they would be the things that they were. I did not know that they were in development. And the problem here is that as not a woman, I'm not really, I don't want to mansplain what women want, right? But as someone who has had my fingers on the pulse of this community for 13 years, I feel like I know what our audience is asking for. I know what my woman is asking for. And what Yvonne wants is what I have, but fits her.
Yeah.
And that was what I was expecting. And I feel like what we did instead was equally valid. We tried to make a good as heck the thing that is trendy right now and popular. And so I feel like those are two very valid approaches. And I feel like, and this is kind of what I said during the meeting, is I feel like we might have subverted the expectations of many of our viewers, and we might have made something for a customer that we haven't really figured out a business model to address yet. Because in my mind, that's the customer buying just high quality, trendy merch from us, for a female doing that, is a different customer from who we might want to address first, which would be viewers of LTT who have been looking at the male merch for so long going, yeah, I'd really just like one of those, but
I was expecting,
and SOs.
Yeah, I was expecting couples photos level stuff, It's the same thing, but it fits us both properly. And to be clear, when I said my girlfriend was wondering about that too, she wasn't like, why isn't it there? I wish it was there.
Yeah.
She was just surprised.
Yeah. And Yvonne was the same way. And one in particular that Yvonne's really jazzed about is that 3D printed liner jacket that I've been wearing the early samples of for the last few months. She's like, yeah, I want one of those. And the initial design that I got from the merch team was a women's style jacket. And I told Yvonne that, and she was like, oh, because she just wants the one that I have, but fitted. And so I think there's two sort of very different sort of camps here. And I feel like what we need to do is we need to figure out because at the end of the day, we're going to have to address both. But we need to figure out our order of operations here. And
it's hard because you also don't want 10 billion SKUs and things get difficult.
Yeah. And we had this interesting debate around what is a standard sweatpant, right? So my understanding was, well, it would be not low rise and not high waist. It would be the middle. And they're like, well, it doesn't really work that way because particularly in women's fashion, it is this will be the standard, and then this one is the standard, and then this one is the standard, and it's cyclical like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then my response to that, it was yeah, but is it sort of a self-perpetual? Is it a perpetual motion machine? Does everyone buy this, and then everyone makes only this, and then that's the only thing you can buy? Because that's one of the things that Yvonne talks about a lot, is how difficult it is for her to buy clothing because her tastes are her tastes, and she doesn't care what's trendy. Do you remember Empire Waist, tops? They look like maternity clothes.
I remember Empire. I don't remember them saying
basically
waist.
They were they had a bust here, and then they were tight around here, and then flowy under there.
I remember
Yeah, so for a period of 4 years, Yvonne couldn't buy a shirt that fit her. and it was just stupid, right?
I did not like those. That was like one of my least favorite periods. And yeah, anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, the point is that what I was trying to say was, well, maybe there's another way of, maybe we could just make the standard one. And then it's like, well, hold on a second, you can't use the word standard. I'm like, that's totally fair.
Yeah.
Who decides who the standard one is?
Yeah.
Am I mansplaining women's fashion? Right? Like, so I'm just kind of sitting here going, I don't know what the answer is. Actually, I do know what the answer is. The answer is, as the only other person in this building who actually signs checks, I think Yvonne is going to work with the merch team and talk to them about the women's stuff, because what I think she brings to the table is that understanding of our community. And
yeah, no, it totally makes sense.
Even if she's not the be all and end all of our customers, I think she understands our community, and she at least buys women's clothing, whereas I don't. Like, that's another thing too, is I feel like we have to kind of speak to the 98% of you who are supposedly male, according to YouTube's internal stats that they provide us, who might be buying something for an SO and choosing something to, do like a couples matching thing or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of where I'm at. Danger Panic says, excuse me, but Yvonne absolutely is the be all and end all. Thank you very much. Not really. I mean, we do need to address her, but she's sort of got an unusual figure and is, a millennial like me, not exactly, a young kid anymore with the trendiest taste, right? Like, Yvonne and I both understand that we're not the be all and end all. A lot of the time when I give feedback, it's really around fit, it's around quality, it's around comfort. I a lot of the time I'll say, look, I like that color, but ultimately I leave this to you guys, right? Like, you got to let experts be experts.
Yeah.
And so that's where I just, how am I supposed to comment on the fit of a women's garment? What do I know? I might have wide childbearing hips, but I certainly don't have breasts, right? So it's tough.
Yeah.
All right. I can say she has an unusual figure on broadcast. I mean, I think that
you have never heard those two roast each other before.
I have
watched
I don't even mean it as a roast. I think she's got, especially for a mother of three, she's rocking. So like, that's pretty unusual.
I'm just saying, like, if that phased you, go watch the roast.
Yeah, no kidding.